What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Um, Yesterday, as some of you guys might have seen, I did make a kind of early on free agency video. I think I called it free agency part one. Made it in the morning before I went to work and before I did any of my school. And since that video, a lot of shit happened in day one. So I think this video, it's the beginning of day two of free agency. This video is going to kind of recap everything that happened free agency day one. I'm going to give my grades for each deal and some of my thoughts. But before we get into that, make sure if you guys haven't already, you guys are subscribed to the channel. That way you can catch all of my videos going forward, talking about free agency, talking about the offseason, talking about the draft. I'm going to be making videos pretty much daily. So if you don't want to miss it, make sure to subscribe. But let's kind of go ahead and get into these free agent deals. I have my notebook right here of all the big deals written down. I'm not going to go through every single move. I'm going to go through the significant free agent transactions, though, starting off with, I think, the biggest move of the day, which I did talk about in my video, so I'll keep it brief. Javon Hargrave to San Francisco, 4 years, $84 million, pretty much resetting the defensive tackle market. And, if you guys look ahead to next offseason, there's a lot of really good defensive tackle free agents. Those boys are going to get paid. So every agent of all of those defensive tackles are smiling and popping champagne looking at this Javon Hargrave deal. So good news for them. The Bears signed TJ Edwards to a 3-year, $19.5 million deal with $12 million guaranteed. Listen, if you guys watch the Bears, I've watched every Bears game for the past 10 years. You guys watch the Bears, you guys know their linebackers, especially their outside linebackers, were atrocious last year. And I don't think TJ Edwards is some world beater, but for 3 years and $19 million, it's a pretty significant upgrade. So I like this deal for the Bears. I'm going to give it a B, just because I don't think, again, he's a great player, but he's a good upgrade at a low price. So you can't really complain. Next, we have Jimmy Garoppolo to the Las Vegas Raiders. 3 years, $67.5 million with 34 guaranteed. I hate Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm just going to be real. I think he's a terrible quarterback, and I don't know why they paid him this absorbent amount of money to suck, especially when they had a good quarterback in Derek Carr that they let go for Jimmy G to now step in. I think that this is an egregious overpay. I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to take the Raiders anywhere. You got to think the Raiders have to play Justin Herbert, Russell Wilson, and Patrick Mahomes a combined 6 times a year. Do you think Jimmy Garoppolo wins any of those games? Probably not. So Jimmy Garoppolo to Vegas to me is a very head scratching move. They paid him too much money. He's not a good quarterback. The only positive is that he's reuniting with Josh McDaniels, his former coordinator in New England, but he wasn't even the starter then. So I don't know kind of what you think. I'm gonna give this deal a D. I really, really don't like it. Next, we have Ben Powers, the guard to Denver, 4 years, $52 million with 20.5 guaranteed. Good move for the Denver Broncos, getting a good guard, probably one of the best guards in free agency. The Broncos have really committed to Russell Wilson this offseason, as we'll see in the next move I'm going to talk about. But, fixing the interior of the offensive line, I think, is something that they desperately need to do. I'm going to give this grade a B. I think it's good. I don't think it's too expensive, but I think it fills a position of need. And so that's all you could say. Next move, keeping with the Broncos, they signed tackle Mike McGlinchey to a 5-year, $87.5 million deal with 50 guaranteed. This is wholly overpay. I mean, Mike McGlinchey was not a terrible tackle, but I wouldn't call him a good tackle in San Francisco. He was definitely the weak spot of that offense, and now you got to go ahead and pay him $87.5 million with 50 guaranteed. I mean, I understand the logic. He's probably better than whoever Denver has at right tackle now, but man, I don't know if I would have paid Mike McGlinchey that much money. I don't know what his market was. I talked to a 49ers fan earlier, and he said that he didn't think his market would be that good. So I just wonder what the market was for McGlinchey. I mean, they signed him day one, so clearly negotiations didn't go too far before they were like, yes, give him this money. I'm going to give it a C. I think it's a pretty high overpay. But again, tackle's an important position to have, so that's whatever. Next, we have Cam Sutton going to Detroit for 3 years, $33 million with 22.5 guaranteed. Really like this move for Detroit. I think that this is a great value for a really good corner. Detroit, they have to improve their secondary. We saw that last year, that their secondary minus the safety Joseph was pretty bad. So getting a good corner for a relatively cheap price is a really good deal. I'm going to give this a B plus to an A minus. I really like this deal. Next, Jesse Bates going to the Atlanta Falcons on a 4-year, $64 million deal with $36 million guaranteed. It's good. I do wonder how long he's going to continue to play at his best, because 4 years is a pretty decent amount. But I think if you look at the top safety money, that's he got just under that, and I think Jesse Bates is a quality safety. The Falcons are a team, like I've mentioned with the Bears. They just have money. They just got to burn it. So if you overpay a little bit to secure a guy, I don't necessarily have a problem with that. So I'm gonna give this deal. I'm gonna give this deal a B. I think it's a good deal for a rebuilding Falcons team. Next, we have the Bears making another big splash, signing linebacker Tremaine Edmonds to a 4-year, $72 million deal with 50 guaranteed. As many people have pointed out, this is just $2 million less annually than Roquan Smith was getting, and the Bears traded Roquan Smith. But you got to think about it like this, in my opinion. Would you rather have Tremaine Edmonds, who is a slight downgrade from Roquan Smith, and a second-round pick, and save $2 million, or Roquan Smith? I think the Bears here kind of saw the vision that they can have a better value at linebacker and picks and everything like that. So I don't know. I like the deal. I think it's a B. I don't think that he is, again, some world beating linebacker, but I think he's top 10, top 15 middle linebacker. He's young, 4-year deal. I think that's a good length. And he's going to be the Mike linebacker in Eberflus's 4-3 system. So I think it's a good fit. The Bills ran 4-3, so I think it's a natural scheme fit. I have no doubt that he'll be pretty good as long as he can stay healthy. So good deal for the Bears with Tremaine Edmonds. Next, Pat Pete to the Steelers, 2 years, $14 million with 5.8 guaranteed. I'm gonna give it a C. I don't see Patrick Peterson for much longer. I mean, he's drafted in 2011, guys. You got to think he's been playing corner in the NFL for 12 years. That is much longer than the life expectancy of most corners. I think we'll get to see a lot of regression from Patrick Peterson, but again, cheap deal. It's not going to bankrupt them. So, and I think worst case scenario, Pat Pete is a great veteran leader in that locker room with the Steelers. Mike Tomlin loves guys like that. So again, there's not much downside here, but I just don't see him being I don't see him being a very quality corner for much longer, unfortunately. Next, we have defensive lineman Dalvin Tomlinson to the Browns for 4 years, $57 million with 27.5 guaranteed. Good deal for the Browns. I do think it's a bit expensive, but they just need defensive line. Outside of Myles Garrett, their defensive line is atrocious, and they're going to lose Clowney this offseason, I have no doubt. So they need guys up there. They also signed another guy for relatively cheap from the Texans, which I thought that was a really good deal. But they need defensive line. I'm going to give it a C plus, B minus. I don't think Delvin Tomlinson is some game record, but he's quality, and they spent some money. Next, for my Seattle Seahawks, their biggest move of the day, signing Draymond Jones, defensive tackle from Denver with a lot of pass rush upside. 3 years, $51 million. For the Seahawks, this is their biggest need, is interior offensive and defensive line. So signing a guy in free agency at defensive tackle who can rush the passer, who can play well on the run. I think he had 6.5 sacks last year in like 13 games. Really good numbers for a defensive tackle sack wise. So I think that this will bring some life into Seattle. It's $17 million a year, so it's a bit on the pricey side. But I think that this is a great deal for Seattle. It addresses the biggest position need, and the more you kind of address your needs in free agency, the less or the more flexibility you kind of have in the draft. So now Seattle can kind of do whatever they want if they continue to address their needs. We have Zach Allen, the defensive lineman from the Arizona Cardinals, going to Denver on a 3-year, $45 million deal, reuniting with former defensive coordinator Vance Joseph back in Denver. He's going to get the bag. I like this move. Denver, they're making moves, and I think they needed to make moves. New coach, Sean Payton. You still got Russell Wilson. You're still in the division with Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes and Jimmy Garoppolo. Anyway, I think it's a good deal for Denver. Shore up everything. They just lost, like I just said, they just lost Draymond Jones, and now they're getting back Zach Allen on a cheaper price than Draymond Jones would have signed for. So good for them. Next, we got Jimmy Ward, safety for the 49ers, heading to the Houston Texans for 2 years, $13 million, pairing up again with D'Amico Ryans, now the head coach in Houston. Good deal for the Texans. They need veteran guys out there for their young batch of guys. I think he's going to help coach up Derek Stingley, their third overall pick from last year. Cheap contract. I'm going to give it an A. I just like this. I just think it's high upside, low price, good for the Texans. Couldn't get much worse than what they were at safety last year. Next, Eric Kendricks to the Chargers, 2 years, $13 million. This is a good deal. I think Eric Kendricks has kind of lost a step, but I still think he's a very quality linebacker, which is something that the Chargers desperately need. I believe Eric Kendricks played his college football at UCLA, so this is pretty much like a homecoming for him. Good for the Chargers, good for him. I'm gonna give it a B plus. Good deal. Nothing too crazy, but it is something that will make the Chargers a better team, and that's really all you can ask for. Next, we have the Bears again signing somebody, an interior offensive lineman, Nate Davis from the Tennessee Titans, 3 years, $30 million. The Bears have a very clear direction in this offseason, and they've shown it so far, as their goal is to surround Justin Fields with as much support as they can. Their two biggest needs were wide receiver and interior offensive lineman, well, just offensive lineman in general, honestly. Um, they traded for DJ Moore. They've already signed Nate Davis on day one of free agency. Do not expect the moves to help Justin Fields to stop. They're going to keep going, and especially during the draft. So keep that in mind. Next, Marcus Davenport to Minnesota, 1 year, $13 million. This is a proven deal for Marcus Davenport. He's kind of fallen off the face of the earth the last couple of seasons. So really wants to get back to form, really wants to show that he can be a productive pass rusher. So next offseason, he's going to be looking to get the bag. Like, let's say he has like a 10, 12 sack season this year in Minnesota. He's going to set himself up for a really nice contract next offseason. So that's kind of just a recap of day one of free agency. I made sure to probably get all the big deals that kind of happened. Obviously, there was a lot of smaller contracts or guys just re-signing with their teams. I didn't include any of that. I just want to include the big juicy stuff. So let me know what you guys think down below of these deals, of my grades, of if I missed a deal, if your team signed somebody that I totally just missed, even though I have every notification on for every, reputable NFL reporter. Let me know. I will take a look at it, and I'll probably address it in a different video. But that's pretty much going to wrap it up, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, like I said, please make sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss future videos. But with that being said, guys, I will take off. Hope you have a great rest of your day, you studs, and I will catch you in tomorrow's video.